Have you ever thought that an ordinary night could change your life forever? I used to believe I knew everything about my husband. But one night, in the familiarity of our bedroom, he left me completely stunned with a sweet shock I never saw coming. It wasn't just a surprising moment, it was the beginning of a passionate journey filled with love and unimaginable twists. It was a tranquil evening. The kind where the stillness outside mirrored the calm within. The day had been long but fulfilling. And I had just finished preparing for bed. My thoughts were drifting into the comforting haze of sleep when Henry, my husband, stepped into the room. There was something unmistakably different about him tonight. His posture, the playful sparkle in his eyes, and the subtle curve of his lips hinted at a secret waiting to be unveiled. Over the years, I had come to recognize that look. Henry had a knack for surprising me, for weaving moments of spontaneity into the fabric of our lives. Yet, tonight felt different. A deeper current seemed to flow beneath his playful demeanor. It wasn't merely the usual light-hearted teasing we often shared, it carried an intensity, an unspoken gravity, that made my breath catch. The air in the room seemed to thrum with quiet anticipation. He crossed the room slowly, his gaze locked onto mine. There was a purposefulness in his steps, a quiet confidence that made my heart flutter. When he reached me, he paused, reaching out to brush a loose strand of hair from my face. His touch was gentle but deliberate, a simple act charged with meaning. I could feel the warmth of his hand lingering on my skin, grounding me in the moment. As I settled under the soft sheets, their coolness a sharp contrast to the heat rising within me, I couldn't help but notice Henry standing at the foot of the bed. His eyes held mine with a quiet intensity that spoke volumes. He wasn't just looking at me, it was as if he were seeing into me, reaching for something deeper. The silence between us was profound, broken only by the steady rhythm of our breaths. "I have something I want to ask you," he said at last, his voice low and steady. It wasn't his usual teasing tone but something more serious, more vulnerable. My curiosity piqued, and a small smile tugged at the corners of my lips. "What is it?" I asked, my voice soft yet tinged with excitement. Henry had a way of keeping me guessing, of making even the simplest moments feel extraordinary. But tonight, there was an undercurrent of significance in his demeanor that made my heart race. He moved around the bed and sat beside me, his weight causing the mattress to dip slightly. Reaching out, he took my hand in his touch warm and reassuring, his fingers entwined with mine as he gazed into my eyes. There was a vulnerability there, mingled with excitement and something else, a tender determination. It was clear he had been turning this moment over in his mind for some time. "Trust me," he whispered, his voice barely audible but brimming with sincerity. The words hung in the air between us, a bridge to something new, something unspoken. I nodded, feeling the strength of the bond we had built over the years, the trust that had weathered countless storms. He gestured for me to lie back, his movements deliberate yet gentle. As I complied, stretching out against the cool sheets, he positioned himself at the edge of the bed. "Spread your legs," he said softly, his voice carrying a mix of hesitation and resolve. The vulnerability in his tone disarmed me, making me feel both nervous and exhilarated. My heart quickened as I slowly obeyed, a flicker of uncertainty mingling with excitement. Henry knelt between my legs, his eyes meeting mine with an intensity that took my breath away. It was a look that held both love and a deep, almost reverent desire. I felt exposed, yet safe, a paradox that only Henry could evoke. "I want to show you something," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. His fingers traced a delicate path along my skin, sending shivers cascading down my spine. The sensation was electric, a blend of vulnerability and anticipation. In that moment, I let go of my inhibitions, surrendering to the trust and connection that defined our relationship. What happened next was unexpected, a gesture that transcended the physical. Henry leaned in closer, his breath warm against my skin. His lips brushed against me in the gentlest of kisses, a gesture so tender and intimate that it felt like a revelation. A soft gasp escaped my lips, the sensation washing over me like a wave, both soothing and exhilarating. It wasn't just a kiss, it was an affirmation, a testament to the depth of his love and devotion. In that moment, I felt seen and cherished in a way I hadn't thought possible. The vulnerability I had felt moments ago transformed into a profound sense of connection, as though we had unlocked a new dimension of our relationship. I opened my eyes to find Henry gazing up at me, his expression a mixture of adoration and desire. His eyes sparkled with an emotion that seemed almost sacred, as if he were silently telling me that I was his world. My heart swelled with a happiness so profound it brought tears to my eyes. This wasn't just an act of intimacy, it was a moment of discovery, a reaffirmation of the bond we shared. Henry had always been thoughtful and caring, but tonight, he had shown me a side of himself that deepened my love for him. It was a reminder that love is not static, it evolves, deepens, and takes on new forms as we grow together. As I reached out to touch his face, my fingers brushing against the stubble on his jaw, I realized how lucky I was to have him. He wasn't just my husband, he was my partner, my confidant, my everything. In his eyes, I saw the promise of countless more moments like this, moments where we would continue to explore and discover new facets of our love. That night, as we lay together in the quiet stillness, I held on to the feeling that had blossomed between us. It was more than just a memory, it was a treasure, a reminder of the extraordinary in the ordinary. And as I drifted off to sleep, I knew that this moment would stay with me forever, a testament to the depth and beauty of our love. The way he looked at me felt like a gift, an unspoken affirmation that I was the most important person in his world. His gaze wasn't fleeting or shallow, it carried a depth that seemed to pierce through every layer of my being. It was as if he cherished not only my laughter and my dreams but also the quiet, unpolished parts of me, the vulnerabilities I often tried to hide. This love was more than a feeling, it was a force, a powerful tide that filled my heart with unshakable joy and a profound sense of safety. In those moments, I realized I wasn't just his wife, I was his confidant, his equal, someone he respected as deeply as he loved. Through his eyes, I saw not just affection but a promise, a silent vow of a love that was as enduring as it was unconditional. It wrapped around me like a warm embrace, making me feel whole in ways words could never capture. As the evening unfolded, my heart swelled with awe at how Henry continued to surprise me. After all these years, he had an uncanny ability to find new ways to ignite a spark between us. It wasn't just about his gestures or actions, it was the way he made me feel cherished, desired, and seen in a way that was uniquely his. For the first time, I began to see Henry not merely as my husband but as a man capable of pushing the boundaries of our relationship while still preserving its core. He was uncovering dimensions of intimacy that transcended the physical, reaching into the emotional and even spiritual realms. When it was all over, words felt unnecessary. There was a quiet eloquence in the connection we had shared, A language of touch and emotion that spoke louder than any conversation ever could. We lay there, side by side, hands intertwined. As the soft glow of the moment enveloped us, I could feel the weight of the day lifting, replaced by a profound sense of peace. Henry turned to me, his expression serene yet searching. "How do you feel?" he asked gently, his voice breaking the silence. A smile curved my lips as I gave his hand a gentle squeeze. "Surprised," I admitted, my voice tinged with wonder, but in the best way possible. That night marked the beginning of something transformative in our relationship. It was as though a door had been opened, revealing uncharted territory we were eager to explore together. Henry had always been attentive to my needs, but now it felt as though we were embarking on a shared journey of rediscovery. Conversations became more honest and vulnerable, as we shed layers of fear and reservation. We spoke openly about our desires, our insecurities, and even our fantasies, topics we had once skirted around out of hesitancy or fear of misunderstanding. The freedom to express ourselves without judgment was liberating, and it brought us closer in ways I hadn't anticipated. Intimacy, I realized, wasn't just about the physical connection. It was about opening our hearts and souls to each other in a way that left no room for walls or pretenses. It was about allowing ourselves to be fully seen, flaws and all, and knowing that we were still loved. Perhaps even more deeply because of those imperfections. As our bond deepened, so did the trust between us. Henry, who had always been my steadfast rock, now felt like someone with whom I could share even my most fragile, private thoughts. It was as though that pivotal night had ushered us into a new chapter, one defined by a profound sense of connection and mutual respect. We began spending more time together in every sense, not just within the intimate confines of our bedroom but in the little moments that made up our daily lives. We laughed more easily, loved more openly, and shared more generously. It was as if the magic that had first drawn us together was rekindling, stronger and more enduring than ever. One quiet evening, as we lay in bed with the soft hum of the world around us, I turned to Henry, my heart full. "You've really surprised me," I confessed, my voice soft but sincere. "I never imagined things could change this much after all these years." He smiled, his eyes filled with warmth as he pulled me closer. "I've always wanted to make you happy," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "I guess I'm just finding new ways to show it." The more we explored each other, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, the more I came to understand just how much love we still had to give. It was as if we were peeling back layers of our relationship, uncovering treasures that had been there all along but had gone unnoticed in the busyness of life. On one particularly memorable night, after an intimate and tender moment, we stayed up talking until the early hours. Henry shared pieces of himself that he had never shared before, his fears, his insecurities, and even dreams he had kept tucked away. "I've always been afraid," he admitted, his voice wavering slightly, "that I wouldn't be enough for you. But I want to keep surprising you. Keep finding ways to make you happy." His vulnerability moved me to tears. I reached out, cupping his face in my hands as I looked into his eyes. "You've always been more than enough," I said softly, my voice thick with emotion. "And every single day, you remind me why I fell in love with you in the first place." That night, and every moment since, became a testament to the depth of our love. It wasn't just about the big gestures or fleeting moments of passion, it was about the quiet, steady promise of a partnership that grew richer and more beautiful with time. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day, Henry and I found ourselves caught in a fit of uncontrollable laughter over the most random things, a silly joke, a misremembered detail, the absurdity of our shared exhaustion. It was in moments like these, amid the chaos and simplicity, that I realized how much joy we derived from simply being together. Our laughter wasn't just noise, it was a melody of shared understanding, a reflection of the deep bond that had become the cornerstone of our happiness. That night, as we finally settled into bed, a sense of calm wrapped around us like a warm blanket. But there was something different about this night, an energy, a closeness that felt almost electric. Henry, always one to find ways to keep our relationship fresh and exciting, leaned over with a mischievous grin. "Come on," he said, his voice tinged with playful mystery. Before I could ask what he meant, he gently pulled me off the bed. To my surprise, he led us to the floor and then under the bed, an unexpected and whimsical hideaway in our own bedroom. We laughed at the absurdity of it, lying on the carpet in the confined space, our heads brushing the bed frame above. But as the laughter subsided, replaced by a quiet intensity, the moment transformed. What had started as playful quickly became something deeper, more intimate. In that small, enclosed space, surrounded by shadows and warmth, we connected in a way that felt profoundly new. It wasn't just the novelty of the setting, it was the purity of the love we shared, the trust that allowed us to be vulnerable and spontaneous together. That night, though we didn't realize it at the time, marked the beginning of an entirely new chapter in our lives. In the weeks that followed, subtle changes began to creep into my daily routine. At first, I brushed them off, the fatigue, the slight nausea, the unexpected shifts in my appetite. But as the days went by, a quiet suspicion took root. And soon, it was undeniable, I was pregnant. The realization hit me like a wave, powerful and overwhelming. But it wasn't a wave of fear, it was one of pure, unfiltered joy. When I told Henry, his reaction was everything I had hoped for and more. His eyes lit up, his smile stretched wide, and he enveloped me in a hug so full of love and excitement that I thought my heart might burst. We had always dreamed of starting a family someday. But now that the moment had arrived, it felt surreal. Like a dream we had both dared to imagine but never quite believed would come true. As the months passed, time seemed to play tricks on us, moving simultaneously at a snail's pace and in the blink of an eye. We prepared as best we could, attending doctor's appointments, decorating the nursery, and daydreaming about the little life growing inside me. Henry was my rock through it all, his calm demeanor grounding me even in my moments of doubt and nervousness. He would place his hand on my growing belly, his eyes full of wonder, and whisper to our baby about the adventures waiting for them in the world. When the day finally came, it felt like stepping into a new reality. The hours blurred together in a whirlwind of emotions and anticipation. And then, in a moment that felt both eternal and instantaneous, our family grew not by one but by two. Twins, a boy and a girl. The shock and joy collided in a cacophony of tears, laughter, and awe. Henry, who had always been so composed, couldn't hold back his emotions as he held them for the first time. Tears streamed down his face as he whispered promises of love and protection to our tiny miracles. In that moment, as I looked at our newborns cradled in his arms, I realized that every step of our journey, every challenge, every laugh, every moment of vulnerability, had led us to this. The trust and intimacy we had built over the years had not only strengthened our bond but also prepared us to embark on this next adventure together as parents. Life with twins was a whirlwind of sleepless nights, endless feedings, and chaotic mornings. Yet, amidst the exhaustion, there was a beauty unlike anything I had ever experienced. Each cry, each coo, each tiny hand grasping ours reminded us of the profound love that had brought them into the world. Henry, ever the devoted partner, proved to be an incredible father. His tenderness, patience, and unwavering love for our children mirrored the way he had always cared for me. Watching him sing lullabies, change diapers, and delight in the smallest milestones filled me with a gratitude so immense it often brought me to tears. On quiet nights, after the twins had finally drifted off to sleep, Henry and I would sit together, reflecting on how far we had come. We often laughed about that night under the bed, marveling at the spontaneity of it all and how it had led to the greatest surprises of our lives. Our twins became living proof of the love we shared, a testament to the strength of our bond and the joy that came from nurturing it. As the years went by, our lives continued to evolve, but the foundation we had built remained steadfast. We weren't just partners anymore, we were a family. And though life was far from perfect, with Henry by my side, I knew we could weather any storm. The love we had for each other had transformed into something even greater, an enduring legacy of connection, growth, and the beautiful chaos of raising our children together. And so, our journey continued, filled with new challenges, laughter, and countless memories waiting to be made. The story of us had become the story of our family, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. Love is not just about romantic moments or sweet promises, it's about how we overcome challenges together, explore new emotions, and nurture our bond every day. That unforgettable night didn't just bring us closer, it taught me that surprises, sincerity, and trust are the strongest glue in any relationship. In the chaos of daily life, we sometimes overlook the magic of small moments. Take time to listen, appreciate, and renew your connection with your loved ones. A compliment, a loving gesture, or simply being present with sincerity can bring about miraculous changes in your relationship. Thank you for watching this extraordinary story. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay with us for more captivating and emotional tales. Your support means the world to us.